What's up guys? Josh here. And I kind of want to clarify 100K without a degree. There's been a lot of salt around that video. Just look at the likes, dislikes. It's not good. And people saying you need a degree versus people saying you don't need a degree versus people saying the price of college versus people saying it's kind of a cluster. So I want to clarify that by answering some questions. So what does 100K without a degree mean? 100K specifically means Hack Reactor in San Francisco promises their students 100K when they graduate in San Francisco. 100K in San Francisco is probably equivalent to about 50 to 55,000 in most other states besides New York City, which is more expensive than San Francisco somehow. What boot camp did you go to? I went to Dev Mountain in Salt Lake City, Utah. I was a part-time student. I went 4 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays for a couple hours each night. On Saturdays it was from 9 to 2. And after that I got a part-time job working at a startup, and I kept my full-time engineering job, and then I left my engineering job and got a full-time job doing software and a full-time job doing software, and that's the story of my software life. How much did you get paid at your first job? My first part-time job was $18 an hour. Not bad for a side job, and they let you work from home when you can't come into the office. I went to the office 2 days a week and did some work at home the rest of the time. How much did you get paid at your full-time job? My first full-time job, I got paid $50,000, and then I left that and I went to my next job, and how much I got paid there? $65,000. Not bad. Here, I got a 4-year college degree and I got $67,000 starting. I went to a part-time boot camp for 3 months, and then I have $65,000 after about a year. Not a bad investment for entirely changing your career path. People are wondering, okay, what is the placement rate of a boot camp? For part-time, approximately 28%, not very good, just a couple days a week. You know, it was really kind of what you put into it for that. Versus, okay, what is the placement rate for full-time? The placement rate for full-time, where you quit your job, go to school for 3 months, from 9 to 5, is about 97%, which is pretty good. College doesn't promise you that. Okay, so what is the cost versus boot camp versus college? Let's say you got college tuition over here, $6,000 to $8,000 each semester for 4 years. So you do that, that's like 8 semesters. 8 times 8, 64,000 to go to college. Looking at 8,000, the high end, versus 6,000. 6 times 8 is still, let's take college boot camp. It's an investment. It's about 10 grand for 3 months, and you're off. You're on your own. Placement rate's pretty high. Now it comes down to, does the employer care if you have a degree or not? I think that's kind of, most of the time they don't care. It says it in the description, like, hey, you need computer science degree or technically equivalent degree, or, you know, equivalent work experience. But then there's the question like, okay, well, how do you get work experience if you can't get a job? And you can't get a job because you don't have work experience. And it's just like that infinite loop that people get stuck on. And that's kind of where I just was like, you know what, I'll take anything I can get. I just want to code, and I want to say I got paid to code, which means my code is valuable. So I applied to almost everywhere that I could, like startups that had money, startups that had no money, anyone that would just give me a chance to code and like put it where people could see it to be like, hey, this guy knows how to code. That's what I did. 100K without a degree is still possible, even if you're not in San Francisco. Okay, so let's say you have 2 to 3 years of experience, which is like mid-level, and then past 3 years is upper, going toward the senior level. Let's say you have 80,000 over here, which is like 2 to 3 years experience. You're pretty good. And then you have 125. Okay, that's the salary range for Utah, about 80 to 125 if you really know your shit and you've been doing this for a long time. After 5 years experience, you could easily hit that 100K depending on the company. How corporate do you want to go? Do you want to work remote? Remote jobs typically get a little bit of a bump on the salary because you're remote. But let's say 125 over here, that's usually like team lead, lead developer, senior lead developer, you know, telling the other developers what to do, how to do it. Do you help them if they get stuck? You're the most experienced dude on the team. You're making sure everyone's doing their deadlines, versus if you're just over here, you're the guy with the 3 years experience, you're making 80,000, you're going to your 2-week sprint board, you're picking a task, you estimate that time, you do it, and then you just keep doing that for 2 weeks, and that's your developer job, and you're still getting paid 80K. But you take 80K, you put that in Nebraska, that's like it's like you live like a king. The dream is to work for a company in San Francisco making 150, which is like, I don't know, maybe 80,000 somewhere else. And you live in like Nebraska, where like it costs nothing to live. That's the dream. Minimize, close the porn. I didn't see you there. Okay, so my camera, I actually recorded this a second ago. It was 9 minutes long and my microphone wasn't on. So the question comes down to, would you recommend college over boot camp? And I would have to say I was really lucky in that I went to a college in a foreign country that was basically free, and I got my degree for free, and I know mechanical engineering things now. But would I go if I had to pay $6,000 a semester here? Well, I went to school here, and I went to school here for 2.5 years. I went to a community college for 2 years, got all my general education classes out of the way, and then I went to an engineering school and I started to do the engineering degree before I went abroad into another country. I tried to transfer my classes over there and they're like, why the f do you have art history and you're doing an engineering class? I tried to transfer some electives over and they're like, dude, why do you know American Civil History Part 2? Part 2 of it's just me ranting about why the US, I get that they want you to be a well-rounded human being and know all parts of knowledge from, no one else does that. Only the US does that. Would you recommend college or would you recommend a boot camp? I would recommend college and boot camp. Does that help anyone? Probably not, but let me explain. If you're not sure what you want to do in the future, go to college, probably get a computer science degree, an engineering degree, some sort of STEM degree. It's my humble opinion if you want to make money and have lots of employment opportunities. If you want to go to Code Bootcamp, go to Code Bootcamp. It has a lower cost. You can easily pay back your loan. The loan is more manageable. Placement rate is pretty high. 97% is pretty high. So college shows that you can put your mind to something difficult and you can do it for a long amount of time. You can stick to it, you can complete it, and you can finish it. But on the other hand, not to discredit a boot camp shows that you can learn all of this complex stuff in a short amount of time. And when you go to apply to a job, you can be like, hey, I learned all this stuff in such a short amount of time. I can learn whatever you want me to learn, dude. You want me to learn Ruby on Rails? I will learn Ruby on Rails. This is true story. This is what happened to me. I went to JavaScript bootcamp. My first job was Ruby on Rails developer. He was like, you passed our test, but I know you don't know Rails. We're gonna hire you anyways. You can learn it as you go. And so you get paid to learn. A college degree helps you get your foot in the door and you're like, hey, I did this really hard thing that took a long time and I finished it. And then you have college boot camp would be a cool thing if they had that, like 4 years compact. I don't know if this is in frame, but you show all the stuff that you've done and be like, hey, I did all this stuff and I learned it in a really short amount of time. I can learn. You do whatever you want me to do. Just give me a shot. Maybe this answer helps you understand, like, should you go to college or should you go to boot camp? It really depends on what you want to do. I see myself coding for a long amount of time. I don't really have any interest in mechanical engineering, and I'm probably not going to go back to that. If I tried, it would show on my resume that, hey, I'm this age and I haven't done anything in mechanical engineering, but I can do it if you want me to. Let me try and remember what I did. That doesn't sound good to have a backup with technical experience, I guess. I see myself coding for a long amount of time. It's what I like to do. There's no mechanical engineering jobs that let you work at home versus a development job, which you can work at home and have Google Hangouts and you have Slack, and the culture of a cool developer job is like free soft drinks. We have a ping pong table, like a game room. My startup that I worked at part-time had beer Fridays, catered lunch. That was pretty cool. And mechanical engineering job is like, hey, you have this cubicle, you can sit in it, and from 9 to 11 you can listen to the radio at a reasonable volume. I was told that I could listen to the radio at a reasonable volume from 9 to 11. That's why I don't see myself going back to that. I don't feel like a number versus like at some corporate job. I know it doesn't bear so much on the degree as it does the company that you work for, but I like front end. I like to make stuff that you see, and I really like my job. I would definitely, if I had to go to school here, I'd probably say no and then go to a code boot camp. Yeah, I played games, I built my own computer, and somehow software and coding just slipped right by me, and I kicked myself in the ass for it. If you have any questions that I didn't think of, that you want answered, just leave them in the comment section down below. I'll make sure to get to them, or you can email me at this email on the screen, and I'll make sure to answer those too. If you like this video, make sure to smash the like button, leave a thumbs up. I would appreciate that. If you want to see more of these videos talking about code, me actually doing code, me doing tutorials of how to teach you to make really cool special effects like callouts or something like that, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I would absolutely appreciate it. Hey, it's John Sawmez. Fuck, he doesn't say it like that. Hey, it's John Sawmez from simpleprogrammer.com. Did I get it right? Yeah, I love you, bro. I watch all your videos, book reviews. You're just like, this fanboy moment. I don't know if you ever watched this, but super cool. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks for watching.